faster and easier to, do them all the same,
Yeah. But anyways, this video is about
it's already recording?
It's already recording.
So
the camera's all the way over there. Yeah, well, I mean, we are.
Okay.
Okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking about...
Oh, the mud bunny.
The mud bunny.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this video, Mitch is going to be soldering all the components onto the board and putting it in a box. We're going to show you how to drill the box, and it's going to all happen in one video. It's going to be real quick. So enjoy. Yeah.
So the Mud Bunny is a circuit board by Mad Bean Pedals that is a clone of the Big Muff, and you can build several different versions of the Big Muff using the Mud Bunny circuit board, just by switching out different parts. Okay. The Big Muff is a great distortion. It's like a classic distortion pedal. A lot of the boutique pedals that you see on the internet are all derived from the Big Muff.
Mm-hmm.
So, rather than buy all these boutique Big Muffs, like, I thought, I'll build my own. It's cheaper, right? And then you can...
And you can try it out against other variations of the Big Muff.
Yeah.
Okay, today we're building the Green Russian, which is a Big Muff mod. Mitch is just soldering all of the resistors onto the board right now.
Yeah, all the low parts go on first, right? And then you work your way to the taller parts is kind of good practice, right? I think I kind of screwed up and forgot a couple diodes at the end and had to put those in, but...
I think the directions included with the board listed all of the resistors first, so that's kind of helpful to just follow the parts list.
Yeah, I put all the parts in order. So I did resistor 1, 2, 3, 4. I usually put in like 4 at a time, and then snip the solder and snip the leads, and then do the next 4. Or at least that was my method. I think if you put too many parts in at once, it's kind of a little forest of legs sticking up through the circuit board, and it's hard to get the soldering iron in there. But if I do like maybe 4 parts at a time, there's enough space to solder them, and then I can clip off the leads,
Right. And if you do too few at once, it's just tedious.
Yeah, it's a little slower, right? And admittedly, like, I tried to build this one fast as possible, like when we recorded it. So, and luckily, I don't think I made any mistakes, so it worked out.
No, you didn't make any mistakes. Spoiler alert, the pedal works perfectly, and it will be shown at the end of this video in action.
Yeah, this circuit board from Mad Bean is pretty good. And you can build several. They have I think maybe 6 different versions of the Big Muff on there. And the only difference is the parts. So the circuit board is the same for all versions, but the choice of parts is different. I think there's the Green Russian, the Violet Ram's Head, and then there's a couple other ones, like there's the Mayo, which is the Screddy version, and then there's the Creamy Dreamer. And then there's 2 more, and I forget what they are. I think one of them's the Civil War Big Muff. And then there must be one. I think there's 6 in that document. I forget.
Yeah, I probably have to watch the original video, because I might have said what I was going to do.
Oh, man, you wouldn't want to say in one video that you were going to build one version of the Big Muff, and then in another video build a different version.
That's true, because people might hold me to my word.
Yeah, it would be controversial, right? Yeah,
Well, we also want to make sure that we have one version of each kind of Big Muff when we do our ultimate Big Muff shootout.
Yeah, well, the thing about the Big Muff is that they all sound the same, except they all do sound a little bit different. Like the Big Muff has like a very particular sound to it, and they all have that sound, but then they also, like, they're all subtly different. Like the lower gain ones kind of have a certain smooth kind of quality, and the higher gain ones kind of have this other, like, kind of like more distorted kind of quality. I don't know. Yeah, they're kind of cool. And then the tone controls kind of work a little differently. Like, people mod the tone control a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much mid scoop you get from the tone control is kind of changes from version to version, but the basic sound is always the same. You know, it's always Big Muff. You know, like you can always tell a Big Muff like when you hear it.
Right. Yeah, I think that comes through in the video that we did where you compared the transistors when you swapped out the transistor in this pedal. It sounds a little different each time, but you can kind of dial it back in by using the tone and the gain control.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's reminding me. Did you ever have a Big Muff when you were younger?
No, I never did.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, I had a Big Muff like in high school, and I forget where I got that. I think I knew another guy that had one, and he's like, "Oh man, I got this Big Muff," and I was like, "Oh, that is so cool! I got to have one of those." And so I bought one, and it was like one of those wedge shapes. It's kind of the generic Big Muff, you know, package that you usually see. It's kind of a bigger box and it's kind of wedge shaped. I had one of those, and I now at the time, like, I didn't know anything about the pedals, so like it was just I had a Big Muff and that was that. But now I kind of wonder, like when I think back on it, I'm like, well, I wonder what version I really had and what kind of transistors were in there, you know. I think when I was a kid though, like, you know, your ears are different and your like preferences are different. So when I was younger, like I would always turn the tone control way up so it was like super piercing. Like it sounded terrible. You know, the funny thing is, like I got the Big Muff because this other friend of mine who played guitar, who played great guitar too, he was a really good player. He had a Big Muff, and I was like, oh man, that sounds so mighty. I got to have one of those. And then later, like he got a Rat. Like, he gave the Big Muff up for the Rat. I think he really got into Stevie Ray Vaughan, wanted more of that like tube screamer sound or something. You know, like I remember he knew like all this Stevie Ray Vaughan licks. Okay, so we printed out the drilling guide. We're gonna cut this out and then use it to mark the places to drill on the box here. And I cut it out, and then now I'm gonna, like, you know, just tape it over the top of the box, right? And then we can just drill through the drilling diagram, you know, at the points where we need to have holes in the box, right? And it shows where everything goes. It shows where the switch and the LED and the knobs, you know, the sustain, volume, and tone, and the input output jacks on the side, and the power jack, right? You probably want to check the parts you're using. I think I measured the parts against the drill bit to make sure that I didn't drill a hole that was like wildly too large, you know. And I think the hole for the DC jack on the side is really big because it's one of those big fat ones. But I actually used one of the smaller DC jacks. I actually really like those. I got those at lovemyswitches.com or whatever that place is, you know? Okay, great. So now we're going to just put in the pots, and they mount to the board. So before we solder them, I'll put them in here, put it in the box, and then once we see how it sits in the box, we can solder the pots and we'll know that they're all in there straight. It's actually not a big deal. You can get them to fit anyway, but it's kind of, I like to do it this way. It's kind of a nice way to do it. I'm going to take these little tabs off first. Right? And then we got two B pots and an A pot. Let's just double check that against the schematic here. Let's see here, Green Russian. So the volume is the A pot and the other two are Bs. So let's see here. This is the sustain pot. This should be a B. And then the other one is the tone pot. This is the volume right here. And then there's the tone. Right?
Cool. No switches.
Yeah, there's no switches on this one. So, oh yeah, and then we got to get the LED. We'll put the LED in later. So I'm going to turn the box over here like this. Set it all in there. And then I'll solder these guys in like this. Right?
Okay.
You can solder the pots in first, but then if you put it in the box, maybe they don't all line up. So when you tighten them down, you're kind of tugging on the pot, right?
And
It's
pulling
getting,
on the solder joints.
yeah, and it pulls on the solder joint. So if you do it this way, I feel like it's less stress and everything kind of fits in there nicely. So, like I haven't now. I'm soldering the lugs right now, right? You know, and then I'll take it out and I'll do the same with the LED. It's a little bit of a squeeze to solder those inside the box, but it's not that bad. Yeah, there we go, right? So that's pretty good. And then we'll get the LED and I'll put it in there. And I actually misaligned the LED by a little bit. It actually didn't really matter. But yeah, so I'll take the LED there, put it in, make sure that the long leg goes in the square hole, right? The plus side. And then I fit the LED through the face of the box. So now I know the length of it. And then I soldered it and clipped off the ends, right? Yes, I'll put the nuts on now. I guess I didn't put the nuts on. I kind of put it up on that roll of tape so it didn't push the pots back through the face of the box, right? I think I forgot something. So I put all the nuts on and then I had to take them off again.
Well, I think maybe because you didn't put the LED in or something.
No, I think I just put it in, right? I soldered it, but I think in it maybe I didn't have to take it apart, but I think I remember like taking it all out of the box because I forgot something. I think I forgot to put one diode in. There's one diode that's like the power protection diode, so it kind of protects against the reverse power supply. You know. Yeah, so there's the jacks. These jacks are actually pretty cool. They're little, like they're super small. They're minimal. So if you make like a small box, like those are great ones to use. I think the ones I have are the kind of knockoffs, but I think they're by Lundberg or something, some German brand. I get those also at the Love My Switches guys site. Those are hard to get. Like they don't have them everywhere. They're not quite as solid. Like the Switchcraft ones are bomb proof. Like those are really good. These are kind of cheaper, but they fit. Like you can use them in those A size boxes, the really small boxes. So I use them here because I had some.
Are the standard ones that you get from Taida, for instance, are those the Switchcraft?
If you buy Switchcraft, if they sell Switchcraft brand, because there's a bunch of knockoffs too. I think Nutrick has like a knockoff that's like it looks like the Switchcraft, but it's Nutrick brand. Yeah, the Switchcraft ones, I don't know why they're so good. I think just like the quality of the metal, like the springiness of that thing that presses against the tip of the jack, it just works really good. Yeah, I don't know why those are so good. Yeah, see, I think I had to pull it out because I forgot. Yeah, there I'm putting the diode in, and then and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put it all back in the box. Let's start over again. Right.
Probably easier to put some of those connections onto the board too when it's out of the box.
Yeah, actually, it might have been easier just to solder a bunch of wires in on the circuit board there and then put it all back into the box and then make the connections to the jacks and the switch. That might actually been a better way to do it, live and learn, right? If you're gonna make a bunch of these, like if you're gonna mass produce them, you'd want to have a system. But if you just make one as a one-off every couple months or something, I don't really have a, I don't really have a system for it, Yeah, so we're just following, you don't see it here, but I'm just following the wiring diagram that came in the PDF with the Mud Bunny circuit board. You just use the same diagram for all the versions of the Big Muff, right? And I try to route the wires in there with something reasonable. But since there isn't a battery, there's kind of like a lot of room to work with.
Yeah, I kept thinking you definitely don't want to put the wires somewhere where the guitar cable is going to jab into it when it gets plugged in.
Yeah, that usually, I don't know, I've never really had any trouble with that. But yeah, you want to, you don't want the jack to run into the wire. I guess you could get some maybe crosstalk in some applications, because the input is pretty sensitive. Yeah, I think I put all the transistors in, right? Here we're going to test it out now. That sounds pretty good.